Come, let us explore the meditation timing secret masters do not share. Together let us relaxingly recite. In these days of technological terrors, we can easily time our meditation using the stopwatch app on our smartphones. In days of yore, however, one might time one's meditation session by burning 1, 2, or 3 sticks of incense one after the other. This method of crease counting, however, was inspired by the techniques practiced by many Bengalis. For those of us living in countries enduring a rise in fascism, let's try this again. Those of us living in countries enduring a rise in fascism, I should say of fascism, know that although cranky officials in polyester could confiscate both smartphones and rosaries alike, will most always have our hands, and by extension this means of practicing crease counting. Those who have endured disabilities numerous and lifelong are often drawn to the energy work of Taoism as well as Tantric Buddhism. Although they could influence their bodies... Oopsie, let's try this again. Although we could influence our body's channels, winds, and drops, or nadi prana bindu in Sanskrit, through visualization and invocation, the easiest and most therapeutic method is to use the finger gestures, or mudra, that are part and parcel of this practice of Bengali crease counting. Beginning with the first pillar of the span of 12 inhalations, we could touch the tip of our right thumb, whoopsie, to the lowest, middling, and uppermost sets of creases upon its little finger. Our thumb could then count likewise upon its ring, middle, and then index fingers. Continuing with the second pillar, we could count sets of 12 inhalations each, this time with our left thumb. To count 4 sets, we could touch the tip of our left thumb to the lowest set of creases, upon the little ring, middle, and index fingers of our left hand. Good morning and welcome to the first quarter of our live stream. Yes, to count 8 sets, we could touch both the lowest and the middling set of creases upon the 4 fingers of our left hand. And even count 12 sets by touching the lowest, middling, and uppermost sets of the creases of the 4 fingers of our left hand. But typically, we'll only count the 4 sets of 12 inhalations each. Finishing with the third pillar, we could gather 4 collections of the 4, 8, or 12 sets of 12 inhalations each, in a manner that gently, therapeutically, and sustainably influences our channel's wins and drops. Now, if at any point I lose you, don't worry, just type your question in great detail in the chat window. Upon the tip of our left index finger, we could rest the great knuckle of our right index finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the crown region of our head. We're going to take a break from the opening lesson and shift gears now. It is Obi-Wan Kenobi Wednesday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. After about 30 seconds of housekeeping, this is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I could become your nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. So, quick like a bunny, let's switch over to the latest iteration of very easy meditation practice text, or sadhana if you're nasty. Together let us relaxingly recite. Whatever comes, may all beings notice, relax, and flow. Whatever stays, may all beings notice, relax, and flow. Whatever goes, may all beings notice, relax, and flow. Let's review mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, evolution has wired us to access the sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. The sympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us to notice in a very special way, to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. But what about meditation? Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we have evolved to access our parasympathetic nervous system, divided between the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. You see, although Our autonomic nervous system is thus wired. Due to a quirk in evolution, the majority of our time is spent with our prefrontal cortex actively trying to compete against this autonomic nervous system. An easy remedy, an easy way for us to harmonize with the healing functions of our autonomic nervous system is for us to silently and mentally recite the verb noticing during each inhalation, and for us to silently and mentally recite the verb relaxing during each exhalation. Together, let us practice this right now. Welcome to the second quarter of this morning's live stream. Let us relaxingly recite an excerpt from the vast expanse of the diamond-like mind, known in Tibetan as Dorje Sempa Numka Che. Pardon my pronunciation. This was composed 14 centuries ago by Prahe Vajra, translated from the Tibetan by Chokyo Namkai Norbu, translated from the Italian by Adriano Clemente, adapted and amplified by yours truly. Let's relaxingly recite 4 repetitions of the 10th passage. That which is the equality of all distinctions is erroneously conceived by saying it is punitive karma. Were it really under the power of unalterable karma, self-originating wisdom could not exist. Every time we breathe in, whether we know it or not, we are wired to access our sympathetic nervous system. We're wired, therefore, to notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, including emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. Yes, some things are pleasurable to notice, some things are painful to notice, but there is no moral stigma to what we notice. Pleasure and pain is no indictment that we're being punished by real or imaginary karma. The author is insisting that the idea of unalterable fate is a myth. That turns us into victims. Think of it this way. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever punitive karma we might have perceived during our previous inhalation could feel less graspable. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever illusion of unalterable fate we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could feel less permanent. Let's continue. That which is the equality of all distinctions is erroneously conceived by saying it is punitive karma. Were it really under the power of unalterable fate, self-originated wisdom cannot exist. What is meant by self-originated wisdom? That's just a poetic way of saying that the greatest wisdom is not the product of concentration, nor the product of the pseudo-intellectual gymnastics we call contemplation or analysis. Au contraire. The highest wisdom is the wisdom of letting go, that we experience viscerally, that we're wired to experience viscerally. Every time we relax into our exhalation, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system. Let's continue. That which is the equality of all distinctions is erroneously conceived by saying it is punitive karma. Were it really under the power of unalterable fate, self-originated wisdom could not exist. That which is the equality of all distinctions is erroneously conceived of by saying it is punitive karma. Were it really under the power of unalterable fate, self-originated wisdom could not exist. Let us return to the opening lesson. Whoopsie. Together let us relaxingly recite. Upon the tip of our left little finger, we could rest the great knuckle of our right little finger palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite or real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce in the bladder region of our lower abdomen. One moment, if you please. Welcome to the second quarter of this morning's live stream. Let us take a moment to review mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, our sympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. But what are we to do with these things? That brings us to meditation. For every time we exhale, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system, we are wired to physically relax and mentally release. But there is a fly in the ointment. Due to a quirk of evolution, we spend most of our days with our cerebral cortex actively competing against our autonomic nervous system. Fortunately, there is an easy remedy. For we have but to silently and mentally recite the verb noticing during each inhalation, as well as silently and mentally recite the verb relaxing during each exhalation. Doing so could help us to cooperate with the healing work of our autonomic nervous system. Now, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist recitation or Buddhist meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. Welcome to the third quarter of this early morning's live stream. Let us return to our opening lesson. Upon the tip of our left middle finger, we could rest the great knuckle of our right middle finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce in the heart region of our chest. Whoops, I forgot something. Let's skedaddle over to the 11th passage of Prahevajra's vast expanse of the diamond-like mind. Together, let us relaxingly recite 4 repetitions of this 11th passage. The causes of the Vajra, as are the secondary conditions. All right, let's take it from the top. The causes the Vajra diamond-like strength of a mind well trained, as are the secondary conditions. Never having been born, it cannot be destroyed. Since it is the Bodhi essence that exists from the beginning, the ultimate dimension is not moved by effort of thought. So Vajra here is short for Vajrasattva. Vajrasattva literally means diamond mind, but figuratively it could be explained as the diamond-like strength of a mind well trained in mindfulness and meditation. So the cause of enlightenment is the training of our mind in mindfulness and meditation. But there is the secondary causes of enlightenment are those that the circumstances that support our practice of mindfulness and meditation. Favorable circumstances, favorable health, favorable interpersonal relationships, and a favorable mind. Every time we relax, whatever circumstances, body, relationships, or mind we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if it was as non-graspable, as if it had never been born. Furthermore, as we relax into our exhalation, whatever memories or perceptions or fantasies of destruction we might have perceived during our previous inhalation could feel less graspable. Let's continue. The causes of the Vajra, diamond-like strength of a mind well trained, as are the secondary conditions, never having been born and cannot be destroyed. since it is the Bodhi essence that exists from the beginning. The ultimate dimension is not moved by the effort of thought. Bodhi essence, or mindset of enlightenment, or bodhicitta, has several meanings. Conventionally refers to the second, third, fourth, and fifth folds of the Buddha's eightfold path, the impulse towards kind intentions, kind communication, kind conduct, and kind commerce. But the phrase ultimate dimension here infers that the Bodhi essence we're talking about here refers to the first fold of the Buddha's eightfold path, the wisdom of letting go. So our capacity to experience the wisdom of letting go is based upon our neural anatomy, the anatomy of our central nervous system, and especially that pertaining to our autonomic nervous system, the ability to perceive and release in harmony with our inhalation, respective inhalations and exhalations. Therefore, it is not something we don't have to chase after the proper architecture. We already have it. It is not something that can be given from us or taken from us. We don't have to go someplace. We don't have to engage in some great Tolkien quest across Middle Earth. It's right here. It's as close as our own core. So this is good news. Number one, we kind of feel guilty when we experience ugly sights or sounds or sensations or flavors or scents or painful emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, or imaginings. But as cranky as we might be occasionally, we still have a central nervous system capable of practicing, regardless of what we've been told or what we've told ourselves. Furthermore, there is no need to actively contemplate, to exert ourselves in the pseudo-intellectual mental gymnastics of analysis or the superstition of blind faith. All we need to do is notice and relax in vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation. Let's continue. The cause, I guess I should put this here real quick. Okay, let's do another edit. Fabulous. Okay, here we go. Enlightenment's cause is the Vajra diamond-like strength of a mind well trained, as are the secondary conditions. Never having been born, it cannot be destroyed. Since it is the Bodhi essence that exists from the beginning, the ultimate dimension is not moved by the effort of thought. Final repetition. Let us together relaxingly recite. Enlightenment's cause is the Vajra diamond-like strength of a mind well trained, as are the secondary conditions. Never having been born, it cannot be destroyed. Since it is the Bodhi essence that exists from the beginning, the ultimate dimension is not moved by the effort of thought. Let us prepare now for this morning's third set of meditation. In order to do that, we're going to turn, or I should say return, whoopsie, gotta hit the right button, to our opening text. Whoopsie. Having some troubles here. Okay. So, upon the tip of our left middle finger, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce in the heart region of our chest. Let us take a moment to explore mindfulness or to review mindfulness. Every time we inhale, thanks to our sympathetic nervous system, we are wired to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice all manner of things, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. What are we to do with these things? Why, meditate, of course. You see, every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, our parasympathetic nervous system is wired to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Sadly, due to a quirk of evolution, our cerebral cortex is largely occupied with the task of competing against our autonomic nervous system. Fortunately, there's an easy remedy. All we have to do is silently and mentally recite the verb noticing during each inhalation, and silently and mentally recite the verb relaxing during each exhalation. Now, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist philosophy or Buddhist meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. Together as a team, let us practice right now. Welcome to the final quarter of this morning's live stream. Together, let us relaxingly recite 4 repetitions of this 12th passage of Prahe Vajra's vast expanse of the diamond-like mind. Together. Meditative stability of supreme quality, being real meditative stability, is beyond the tyranny of thought. Without applying thought or purifying, in accordance with nature, through itself, wisdom springs forth. Meditative stability is supreme quality, being real meditative stability is beyond the tyranny of thought. So the author here is inferring that there is no need for focus or concentration. In fact, those things are analogs of the real stability that comes from simply noticing vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, whatever comes up, regardless of how temporarily it occurs. To notice with that vulnerability is the key. There is fear that if we don't actively concentrate, our mind will just tool off into the horizon. But the fact is, as long as we're vulnerable to whatever comes up as we breathe in and relax as best we can whenever we breathe out, then we will not be carried away by our various and sundry impulses. Let us continue. Without applying thought or purifying, in accordance with nature, through itself, wisdom springs forth. So, upon the path of being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, people often seek for antidotes, and all they do is plunge deeper and deeper into the swamp of duality. So instead of trying to antidote fear with peace or hate with love, we vulnerably notice those things as we breathe in, when they randomly occur. And as we exhale, we physically relax and mentally release in cooperation with our parasympathetic nervous system. That's already there naturally. And by cooperating with that, the wisdom of letting go spontaneously springs forth. Okay, let's continue. Meditative stability of supreme quality, being real meditative stability, is beyond the tyranny of thought. Without applying thought or purifying, in accordance with nature, through itself, the wisdom of letting go spontaneously springs forth. Meditative stability of supreme quality being real meditative stability of spontaneous. Meditative stability of supreme quality, being the real meditative stability of spontaneous awareness, is beyond the tyranny of thought. Without applying thought or purifying, in accordance with nature through itself, the wisdom of letting go spontaneously springs forth. Upon the tip of our left ring finger, oopsie, that's the middle finger. Upon the tip of our left ring finger, we could rest the great knuckle of our right ring finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce in the navel region of our mid-abdomen. Although these actions might not bestow upon us the miraculous powers of a Tolkien fever dream, they could assist our body's practice of the Buddha's mindfulness and meditation. Welcome to the final quarter of this early morning's live stream. Let us consider mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, our sympathetic nervous system helps us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, fleetingly notice dualities, such as dread and desire, danger and safety, lack and boon, pain and pleasure, scorn and praise, shame and fame. What are we to do with these dualities? We practice meditation, but how does that work? Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, our parasympathetic nervous system is wired to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Yes, our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems are splendid, but they are often opposed or blocked by our cerebral cortex. Therefore, there is an easy antidote. If we but silently and mentally recite the verb noticing during each inhalation, as well as the verb relaxing during each exhalation, then mindfulness and meditation become an easy proposition. Do bear in mind, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation or Buddhist philosophy, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. Together as a team, let's practice. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.